It is literally negative 15 degrees here. It is so cold. If you're new here, I live in an 1880s home. She's big, she's beautiful, and she's very hard to heat. The boiler has not been able to keep up. We've been running space heaters all night and all day just trying to keep the house above 60 degrees. And it kind of makes you wonder, how were they staying warm back when this house was built? We've discussed some of the heating systems in my prior videos, but some of the other fun things that they would do were wear layers, of course. I'm sure they were wearing layers inside as well as when they left the house. And when they left the house, they were wearing a bunch of wool and fur. Seal fur was very desirable at the time because it was waterproof and also very warm. And the women would have muffs that they would stick their hands into, these big round pieces of fur, and that would help keep their hands warm. And if your hands weren't warm enough in that alone, you could get a muff warmer, which was a little ceramic pot essentially that you would fill with boiling water and you would slide it in there to help keep your hands toasty on your venture. And men would use these metal tubes filled with slow burning coal, and I just feel like it was a little bit of a fire hazard. But these were also versions of pocket heaters and hand warmers. And then when they were out on their journeys or even in the home, they would have these little foot warmers, is what they called them. They were little baskets lined with metal or tin, and then they were loaded full of hot rocks. And these were supposed to help keep your feet warm. Anywhere you went, you could carry it and set it down next to your feet. I just don't think that would have been a very efficient form of heating. It wouldn't have been good enough for me. And then when it was time for bed at night, they would preheat their beds with these big cylindrical pans, and they would load them full of coals and slip them in between their blankets and their sheets to get the bed warm. Then when they would get in, they would bring with them these big ceramic jugs filled with boiling water once again. And that was supposed to keep your feet warm overnight. And I guess if you got cold and you woke up, you could take it and go set it by the fire and get it warm again and put it back in the bed with you. Another thing that they would do is they would have these big four-poster beds with the canopies. These canopies were supposed to help keep the heat in, whether it was your heating apparatus or your body heat or whatever it was. It was supposed to help keep you insulated. Victorians loved a heavy drapery. That's why you'll see them on the windows as well, as they were kind of a form of insulation, keeping the drafty cold air on the window side and not really in the room. They also took advantage of rugs for the same reason. But I just think the Victorians were a little bit more hardcore than we were. They were built different because we're in here shivering at 60 degrees. I'm sitting in the sun trying to get warm. I don't think I would have made it back then.